System starting up.
And we are live. Welcome to another episode of Technical Defects. I'm Joe Ridgely. Got my new co-host Blake Best here. We have our special guests this evening, Dan Yeager and Ron Scott from Bad Anger Pictures. How you guys doing this evening?
We're good. I'm
Doing really
good.
well.
Ron's good. I can answer him.
So, guys, delve in on how you guys met and created Bad Anger Pictures.
Should I?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Because you have a better memory than I do.
So, March will be about 5 years ago. I had met Terry McMinn on Facebook. Terry was, she played Pam, the woman that got hung on the meat hook in the original Texas Chainsaw. And I did a little bit of marketing work for her. And after, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks of me probably emailing her too much, she said, "Hey, I've got somebody you should meet." And through email, introduced me to Dan. And we were building a web project together. That's how we got started working together. And then later that summer, he invited me to become part of Bad Anger Pictures. He has some scripts to develop, and yeah, we've been working together ever since. I don't know, Dan, if you want to add anything to that, but that's.
Oh yeah, Ron doesn't have a big film background, but I noticed as we worked on everything together, we had extraordinarily complementary skills. Between the two of us, we are the complete man. So, anyway, I just realized the man's skills very quickly and wanted to exploit him as much as possible. So far he's and none of us do this alone. Anybody who goes around, bragging about what they do in film, nobody does it on their own. And he and I together have done much more than I ever would have done on my own. So.
Well, we noticed that Dan's got the cigar. What are we smoking tonight, sir?
This is I already took the band off because I'm a savage. This is a Gurkha Warlord 6x60. I've never had one of these, but it smells nice. I got to tell you. I highly recommend cigar smoking for anybody looking to get into the movie business. Because one of the things I found out early on was, my Bugatti is running out of fuel. It's finally run out. One of the things I learned early on is that the people who make the decisions in the movie business pretty much all smoke cigars. And it's a very social thing. And so if you smoke cigars, you're often, able to participate on a level that you wouldn't otherwise. So anyway, if you're a young actor looking to break in, develop a taste for cigars.
Cigar smoking is a must. So is this the first project?
My other Bugatti has failed.
I'm sorry?
My other lighter has failed.
Oh.
I always have a backup. You got to shake them sometimes.
So is this the first major project you guys are working on, or did you work on some things in the past?
Well, we have, 3 feature scripts in fairly active development. One of them we're really pushing hard on, but that's it's always a multi-year process. But yeah, this is really, we never thought this would be the first one that made it to the screen, but that's the way it happened to work out. We have a couple of other shorts, but mostly, features are always, kind of our focus. That's what we've been pushing. But, the movie business being what it is, nothing's easy. Nothing's a given. So.
Well, that's one thing I was curious about. I hear shorts and feature films. What is? I know it's a time thing, but what determines if it's a short? What amount of time does it need to be or fall under?
I think shorts are generally anything under 45 minutes. If it's over 45 minutes, it can be a feature. It doesn't necessarily. There's no hard and fast rules, I don't think.
All right. And how's the Indiegogo? I didn't mean to run over you on that. How's the Indiegogo campaign going right now? I know you guys are getting awfully close.
Yeah. So we are about, I don't want to have to try to do math right now, roughly $1,400 shy of hitting our goal. It has peaks and it has days where we don't get anything. But in the last, I would say 3 or 4 days, we've done $400 or $500 really quick, and today alone we've done 200. So we put up a new little video last night that kind of explains the movie a little bit, and probably in a little bit more detail, or at least the thinking behind the movie, and that got a lot of positive response. So it's a constant. It's out of my comfort zone, really, is to do this and hit everybody every day with, we need your help, but we really do. And it's not comfortable, but they say the magic happens outside your comfort zone, right? So, but it's going really well. I do believe we'll make it. We got 3 or 4 days left. If we don't make it, we'll get really close. So. We're going to shoot it no matter what. We're close enough in budget that we can do that now comfortably.
Very cool. And you're starting production on Friday. Is that what I read?
That is correct.
And where is this taking place? Can we ask?
Yeah, we're going to be shooting in the Scranton area. So not all in Scranton, but in the Scranton area within an hour of Scranton. We have 4 different locations we'll be at. And I just got text today from our cinematographer that it's supposed to rain for the entire weekend. So that will add an extra layer of complexity. That actually the script takes place partially in the rain. So I look at it as a plus, add a little production value, and we'll just have to be very careful to protect the equipment. But yeah, it's
real rain always looks terrible on camera. Fake rain always looks great. So even if it's really raining, we're going to still need that rain rig.
All right. Hopefully Dominic's watching. He's not off the hook. He's not off the hook.
No.
Well, you may not have to use that lightning machine.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, some real lightning might be good.
Yeah. If we're lucky enough.
I'm sorry. I was joking about the lightning. My little quip on the
yeah,
that was
so
I know you knew that was a joke. I just hope everybody else did.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they did. So the story behind that is every day I come up with something to go on. Maybe I shouldn't tell my secret, but every day I think of something to go online and say, hey, come see us at fundvolition.com and help out. So the other night the strobe light I ordered came in. And so I set it up, and of course it looked kind of goofy, and I had it set at a low speed. And I made a little video, put it on Facebook, and within 5 minutes, this comedian over here said something like, "That's the fakest looking lightning I've ever seen," or something like that. So it's kind of funny.
Oh, it made me laugh. Yeah, you showed all the packages on the chair at one point, and then it's like a lightning machine.
Yeah.
Dan chimes in. It's just like,
yeah, I'm over here working my butt off, and he's like, "Oh, that looks fake."
Well, you got to admit it looks fake.
It did look fake, yes. In my living room, on the brick wall, yes, it looked fake.
We're going to make it look good, though. You're right.
I have no doubt. What amount of time is this shoot going to take, do you think?
We should be able to shoot it in 3 nights.
Wow.
Well, two nights and a long day night. So
Yeah.
our goal is to have it in the can by wrapping on Sunday night.
And I don't know. I saw on Internet Movie Database. Are you guys aiming for an October release? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we'll be done, but we're not going to just necessarily put it out for distribution right away. Dan, if you want to talk about it.
We may do a screening of a rough cut by then.
Right.
It won't necessarily be, super polished, because it just takes time. It's amazing what happens, in the editing process. You see things you didn't know you had, and the story becomes clearer, as all of a sudden you're hearing it back for the first time. It's been playing in my head for a long time, but that's not necessarily the final cut.
So this was initially written as a TV series?
Yeah, me and my buddy Greg Philippi, years ago, God, it must have been 5 years ago, 4 years ago, we were sitting around talking about developing some projects, and we had the idea of doing a Twilight Zone inspired TV show, and basically just a weekly or semi-weekly, completely different, no recurring characters kind of, supernatural thriller show, like the Twilight Zone. I mean, really, that was what we missed in television was stuff like that. And so anyway, I think I crossed the finish line with a script first, so mine was the pilot. I don't know if he ever finished his. He wrote an episode too. But anyway, Volition was really going to be the pilot episode of that TV show. And, life got in the way,
Moved across the country.
Yeah, all sorts of things happened. But anyway, it kind of fell through the cracks. And then I was talking to our partner, Bob Sabakinis in Scranton. And we were discussing, shooting something to showcase Scranton as a filming location, and he's very big in the local industry and community. And anyway, I thought of this script because it has a train, and Scranton has trains, and we knew somebody who had a bar. There's a bar in it, And anyway, I pitched it to him. He loved the idea. And I quickly rewrote the thing. And actually, I like it better now. The TV show, just the format of TV, I wrote it originally to fit the format of a half hour TV show with commercial breaks, and I just the freedom of cinema is just so much of a relief. It just works better, and so I'm very happy with the outcome thus far. But yeah, that's the kind of evolution of the thing.
So, Ron, if you had to describe to somebody what this is about, how would you go about doing it?
Well, it's where I struggle, because if I was telling my friend at a bar, I would tell him more than I'll tell you right now because of the audience, right? So I don't know. Maybe Dan's a better person to do this, but it's everyone.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Everyone in this. Well, it's a very short script, so there's not too much you can say. But it really can, and with the little short that we put out last night really helps to nail it in. But it's a story about, all your life you make decisions every day, almost everything you do, and at the end of the day, you have to answer for everything that you do. This is a story of a guy who he's dead. He gets to the other side, and he has a choice. Dan, I don't want to tell too much. It's your story. Why don't you continue?
Well,
I don't want to give too much away.
No, I don't think you've given too much away. I mean, the conceit of the movie is that, there's a meaning to podcasts and horror movie making and car racing and whatever you like to do with this thing we call life. There's a reason why we're all going through this. There's a reason for the human condition, and the story came to me really in a search for an answer for what the hell is the reason. Why would we go through all this, just end up dead? And the movie takes us on a journey where this guy, who's really, I've described him to others as the everyman. He is everyman, and he's nobody who's ever been celebrated. He's just a guy who's worked all his life, and how does he account for himself? And, who is he as a human being? And there are other characters in the movie, that contrast with him. And I think people find it compelling. I think it'll prompt a lot of discussion amongst anyone who sees it.
Excellent. Blake, what do you have, sir?
Well, I really liked, first of all, I want to say thank you, Dan, and thank you, Ron, for coming on. We appreciate that and taking time out of your schedules to share this awesome project with us so we can help you get it out there, because it sounds like it's going to be amazing. You were talking a lot, Dan, about working in film and how nobody does it alone. And I've been in the film industry for the better part of 6.5, 7 years, and that's 100% true. I've done composing, I've done screenwriting, and I've acted in a couple of things. But no matter where you're at in the movie, there's always somebody else there that helps get you through to that point where you are. And I think that's something that a lot of young filmmakers, young actors, and young people in the industry don't realize. It's not you can do this by yourself, because you can't. I didn't do it by myself, and obviously, I mean, you said you didn't do it alone either. So I think that's a really valid point. I worked mostly in horror, like you did, and I still enjoy it to this day. I've switched up, and now I write books and do composing. I've stepped away from the acting part of it for the time being, but I like seeing all facets of it, what's in front of the camera, what goes on behind the camera, because without all of it together, the movie doesn't happen. And I think a lot of people tend to forget that. Absolutely.
Yeah, speaking of that, we have an extended crew in the Scranton area, and we're relying on them every day to pull this together. I've got a guy, I'm at a friend's house right now, and we're building one of the set pieces. He's still out in his front yard or his driveway. He's working on the set piece right now while I'm in here doing the interview. It does take a small army to get this done. Our star is flying in from LA, in a couple days. Brett Wagner, he's gonna play that everyman. So he's coming in. We have April Love. She's close to Scranton, a couple hours away. She's going to play someone that interacts with him. We have Lloyd T. Williams, who's been in, Dan could tell you more than me, but he's been in Pretty Woman and a couple other pretty big movies and some TV shows. Really respected actor. And Dominic Azzarelli, he's a local theater actor there in Scranton. And so we've got a really good group of people around us: production design, costume, you name it, props. Everybody's doing a little bit of everything to pull this together. So yeah, it does take a small army.
Ron, you got a little on the dark side since the last time we saw you.
I don't know what happened.
No. There you go.
There's a little bit, but there you go.
Well,
Yeah.
I turned the dimmer down on my computer because I had now 20% battery left. So that's why I turned it down. I guess using the camera is eating a lot of battery.
How you looking?
Keep talking to Dan.
We're hoping you can survive the rest of the show. Dan's got the cigar in his hand. Dan is good whenever he has a cigar in his hand. So, Blake, what else you got, buddy?
Well, I mean, again, I really just wanted to expound on that fact that, it does take an army. I mean, this latest book I'm working with Mick Strong. He was a production designer for New Line Cinema. He worked on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, and he did Leatherface, the one that came out in 1990. So I like working with people who work behind the scenes because I don't think they get enough credit. I mean, with all due respect to all the actors and actresses and everyone that's involved in front of the camera, the special effects, the sound guys, the cameramen, the screenwriters, the producers, those are such important pieces. And I really think that it's really awesome that you're willing to say that it does take an army, because it does take an army. And each one of those people and those groups of people play a very important part in the overall response to your film. Because I always thought about it this way when I was doing a film. If I'm not going to be happy to see what I'm about to see in, dailies, then the audience isn't going to be happy to see it either. So I want to make sure that I am happy because I'm a fan first and foremost before anything else. So as a fan, I know what I want to see. So if I get out there and we're having to redo a scene 5 or 6 times, or we have to redo some effects, for some makeup, or we have to, postpone things. I mean, things do happen, but I like to see things get out there because that's the magical part. Sometimes it's the improvisation that makes it the magic. It could be the way that somebody glances at the camera. It could be in the last ad-libbed line or, dialogue that you just came up with on the way to shoot it. There's a lot of happy accidents there, and I just really think that's important that people understand it takes an army, and you're reaching out to people that maybe aren't directly involved with the film, people to back it and people to help fund it. And that's important because that lets everybody feel like they have a little bit of a hand in helping put together this production,
And that's a really
thing
point too.
I was going to say is cool is we get these guys on here, and obviously we want to help promote what they're doing because we believe in it also, but we also get to question them about how they got started and what brought them to this. Scott, Ron, can you delve into how you got started in the biz and what attracted you?
I just wanted to follow up what Blake was saying, and we'd be remiss if we didn't thank all the people that have helped us so far fund this. And all the folks that have contributed have, it makes me a lot less stressful every time I get an email with a new Indiegogo support flag. So very good point, Blake, because everybody, whether you're going to be on set or not, everyone, people that support us and help us out, even around us that have nothing to do with it, but make time for us to do this is, they should be thanked as well. So as far as me, and I've got 10% battery left now. I apologize. I could go get my power cord if I need to. It's eating through it fast. But I've been interested in film since I was 10 years old, and I saw Star Wars. And I think a lot of people have probably that same kind of impact. And I saw the making of Star Wars, and I just went nuts. And I've been interested in it ever since. and majored in technical theater in college. So I majored in lighting design actually for about a year and a half, and then I switched over to business and finished in business. But I've just always had that bug. So so it's been a long time coming, and I'm really excited to be working with Dan, and he's a phenomenal partner over there. It's awesome.
Absolutely. If you don't mind, I would love if you can grab that power cord. If not, let me know. I'm going to head over to Dan.
Dan will tell his story or whatever you want him to do, and I'll run out and get my power cord.
That sounds great. Thank you, sir. So, Dan, you had a small part in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Mm-hmm.
How was that, sir?
I explain it especially to gentlemen like yourselves this way. If anybody ever offers to throw a skin mask on you and give you a bloody leather apron and a big ass smoking chainsaw, and then they're going to let you chase some girl like you want to kill her, you should do it.
That is
Here, here.
Without
Here.
reservation, you should do it. Actually, something crossed my mind with what Blake was saying about how it, you know, the Army that does take, and I think people lose sight of that because of the dynamic, even on especially, actually, I think it really starts on the movie set, of, you know, the overinflated importance of actors. Actors get all the credit, good or bad, for every movie, you know, despite the fact that there are thousands of people who make any given, you know, feature film. And that's solely because once you're on screen, you know, they need you to finish the job. And all of those thousands of people do everything they can to make sure you're successful as an actor. And I remember, you know, especially on Texas Chainsaw, how easily that could, you know, mess with your head and, you know, really give you an overinflated sense of self and, you know, an over, you know, you just can't let it go to your head is all. You know, they treat you like a god because everything, you know, in that picture, you know, depends on every one of those actors finishing the thing. Once it's done, it's done. But, you know, in that time, I can't tell you what it's like. You know, it's amazing. But you can't let it go to your head. You know, you have to keep in mind that it does take, you know, the efforts and skills and talents of lots of people that nobody ever sees. You know,
That's true.
I've taught a couple of acting workshops, and on camera. I've never taught, you know, real method acting. But I always tell people, you know, all that emotional stuff that you're doing when you're trying to perform, you know, for the camera, it doesn't really matter. It only matters insofar as it results in something that you do that the camera can see. And I give them the example, you know, or I don't know, I hope it's an object lesson. I tell them, you know, you do the most heart-wrenching, dramatic monologue that you can, I'll film it and I can make people laugh at you. And it's the soundtrack, you know. I mean, you'll never outact the soundtrack. It's important to know, you know, what motivates a character so that you can use that to create what you actually do. But you have to end up actually doing it, or the camera doesn't pick it up, and it doesn't mean a damn thing. And then, you know, they're gonna, you know, for the sad stuff, they're gonna play sad music.
Well, Dan, speaking of cameras, you're getting a little on the dark side, buddy. Do you have a light by chance?
The sun is going down. This is all natural light.
Gotcha.
I have electric light here in the church, but if I have to go turn them on, I'll let Ron tell a story.
Well, do you guys know Amy Holbrook? She's saying hi.
Hi, Amy. I know she's very
Amy.
supportive of our page.
I do know. Amy is, she and her husband have a company called, shit.
I'm sure that's not the name of the company.
Reaper's Rejects. And they make the coolest cars you have ever seen. These hot rods that are monsters. It was really cool. When Brett was
That's
here,
the video you put on Facebook. I saw that.
yeah, when Brett was here in upstate New York for the Syracuse Nationals, they were there, and anyway, I got to meet them. They're lovely people. Reaper's Rejects. Thank you. I came up with it. It took me a while. All right, I'm going to go hit some lights. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
All right, fair enough. And just so I did see the pictures of those cars. They were, holy crap, phenomenal. Looking to see what else is going on. Got a question for Dan. We'll wait for him to come back. And then, you know what's fun, Blake?
What?
What's fun is putting Ron on the spot.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Ron, what's going on? I was doing some research, and Slaughter Farm. Can you discuss that at all?
Well, that was one of the scripts Dan was alluding to. That was really our first big push, and we still have it. It's definitely one that's close to our heart. It's another amazing script that Dan wrote, talking about Slaughter Farm, Dan. And it's a story about the black market organ trade, and this family, they're not all related, but this family of folks that prey on very healthy hikers. They're going along the Pacific Crest Trail because these people are very, very, very fit, right? Most of them are. And so they have orders for organs. And if you can't get them through the normal ways of waiting on your list and that sort of thing, and if you have the money, this family can obtain them for you. So it's a great script. That's one of the ones, we're hoping that Volition gets some wind under our wings or behind our sails, whatever you want to say, and that we can circle back around and work on getting that funded again. It's much more than Volition, funding wise.
I mean, that sounds really cool. It sounds very original also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And one of the things I like to say is we'll do to hikers what Jaws did to swimmers, right? And usually when we say that, you kind of get it. It's like it could really get into the psyche of people and be like, think twice. Hate to do that to them, but we have a story to tell. So it could be a good thing or a bad thing. And Dan has said it 100 times. He says, I hope no one watches this film and gets an idea to start their own business doing it.
It's a brilliant business plan.
It really is.
Right? I mean, no doubt about it.
There are obvious moral
It's $1 billion a year black market business. But in most cases in other countries, if you're on death row or something like that, or you've done something that's going to lock you away for life in some countries, they will, instead of housing you for the next 40, 50 years, they'll sell off your parts. That does happen. And then in a lot of other countries, people will sell a kidney. Of course, they're probably donating a kidney under unsafe circumstances and probably getting infections and dying, but they need the money, so they'll do it. And that's all considered black market. But what we're proposing would also be very much black market and very bad. But it's not just one script. He's developed four scripts.
The story came to me because, I'd written a couple of others, zombie stories and things like that. And, I love those. But I really wanted to come up with kind of the ultimate, not necessarily the ultimate, but certainly a good slasher movie, something that's got lots of, gore potential. And, it's just a good old fashioned slasher movie. However, one thing, most slasher movies, the slashing is not really well motivated. They just kind of seem to do it because, I don't know, they like it. That'll get you so far, but it's really not, I wanted to up the ante. So anyway, I saw a documentary about the black market organ trade. I said, wow, that could work. And so, anyway.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the urban legend that somebody wakes up in a bathtub after a night of partying in a tub of ice with stitches and going, oh shit, what happened?
Right.
And the movie is more than, just people getting, picked up and slashed up and having their organs ripped out and selling them, and that's it. The real business of the organ trade is dependent upon, prompt supply, for the demand. And so, and the other thing is, you got to keep the organs fresh, and once you take them out, they got no shelf life, so that may give you some insight into some of the horrors that you would see in this movie. But
that sounds spectacular. I'm looking at some of the comments, and let's see if Dan wants to address this one. It's from our buddy Mike.
What was my opinion of the 2017 Leatherface? Do you see any more movies in the franchise series, or the series run its course? I personally would love to see a Leatherface video game. I didn't, the way Leatherface, that movie, came about, there was kind of a disagreement amongst the producers, what direction to take the franchise after 3D. And the main producer, his idea was just do a sequel to that movie, continue that story. Everything was teed up, it was all set. The script was written. It was a great script, but the movie business is full of people who think they know how to make movies, but really, I don't know. Anyway, another script was developed, this Leatherface script, as a prequel to the original 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, I don't see the point of, Anyway, I read the script. I didn't care for it. But, you know, people who know more than me and who had the rights to the franchise decided that was the direction they were going to go. They couldn't raise enough money to shoot it in Texas or Louisiana, and so they shot it in Bulgaria.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was because Millennium, I guess, has a lot of. I think they have a studio in Bulgaria, and so they went there and they shot the movie. I remember seeing an early production still from the movie, and it had the sheriff's car, and I swear the sheriff's car was Russian. I don't it didn't look like it. It was no American car I knew. But anyway, I thought, nah, I don't think they're gonna. And so anyway, they shot it. It took them a couple of months, the summer of, what was that, 2015, and they screened it for Lionsgate, and Lionsgate sent them back to Bulgaria, and so they shot for another 2 months trying to fix it, and you know, I guess they finally got it edited together to something that they could release, but they ended up just putting it out on video pretty much, and cable. But I haven't seen it.
You guys seen it, Blake and Joe?
I have seen it, and I plead the fifth.
I'm
no,
a
you
huge
can't
Texas
plead
Chainsaw
fifth.
fan. I'm a huge Texas Chainsaw fan, and I've refused to watch it. So
I have not seen it all the way through.
that should tell you enough.
Yeah,
Well, so that's my whole thing. I haven't seen it all the way through either because I couldn't get through it.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, there's something to be said because I love the first 4 of the films in the series, and then Dan, I really like the one you were in, but I guess because Texas Chainsaw wasn't something that I felt as connected with. When I work, I usually work with the cast from Nightmare on Elm Street, so it's like I'm from that same general area where, you know, you've got all the big slashers, and Leatherface is right up there, but it feels like to me they were trying to do something in that movie, and it didn't sit well with a lot of the hardcore fans, you know, Tobe Hooper fans of the original, and then of course the sequel, and it didn't seem like it sat right with them. Oftentimes remakes don't sit right with a lot of the hardcore fans for whatever reason, be it something minuscule or something major, you know.
Well,
Or a Russian car, for that matter, you know.
yeah. You know, at the end of this, at least the script I read, the end, there's a big twist. Do you want the spoiler?
Sure.
I mean, this is just the script I read. I mean, we should warn everybody that this is a spoiler.
Spoiler,
This is a spoiler, everyone. If you don't want to hear it, close your
I won't
ears.
say it. If you tell me not to say it, I won't
Nope.
say it.
be my guest, sir.
Now you saw it. There's a big hulking character in from the insane asylum. You know, one of the kids, he's a big hulking brute, and the other one is kind of pretty. And we never really know who Leatherface is. They never really say which of the inmates becomes the Leatherface we all know and love. And they kind of misdirect you that it's the big hulking, quiet guy, but it's really the pretty boy.
See,
and he ain't that big. I don't know. So I saw when the first poster came out, somebody tagged it as Leatherface the Wonder Years, and I just never even found the concept particularly compelling. It was basically, and the script I read, I think they fixed a lot of it though. So, I mean, I think it's a much better movie than the one I read the script for. However, and they finally shoehorned a chainsaw in it, because in the script, there was no chainsaw. How do you make a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie without a chainsaw? And the movie's called Leatherface, and he doesn't wear a mask.
Yeah.
I don't get it. He wasn't, he didn't. I think they really upped that at the end of the movie that they shot. I mean, he puts on a mask,
Right.
just because I don't think they could explain a movie called Leatherface where he doesn't wear a mask. So anyway.
Well, I mean, that tends to happen sometimes with horror genre. They use the name, and it just becomes kind of a cash grab.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
well, yeah, I don't think they grabbed a lot of cash with it either. I don't think they
I was just wondering what the budget was and what they recouped. That might be about as much as my research I do on. I would like to know that.
right on, no doubt. I am looking over my notes. Blake, going to put you on the spot. What do you got for the gentleman while I'm looking things over?
Well, again, I just want to say thank you to both of you for coming on. It's a pleasure to meet fellow filmmakers. It's a pleasure to meet people in the industry who are willing to give credit where credit is due, and talk good things about the people who helped make the film. I'll put it to you this way. The last one I acted in, I went through an extreme prosthetic and special effects makeup application, and I think that the gentleman doing the effects on me was more nervous about doing the effects on me than I was about him doing the effects on me. I'm 6'4", almost 6'5", so I'm a big guy, and he was kind of a smaller guy, sort of apprehensive about things, and kind of just, you could tell this was one of his earlier probably one of his first real forays into doing the special makeup effects, like doing them himself instead of having, working under someone or for someone. But he was just so nervous. And, I made sure that I told him thank you for all of his hard work, because I think oftentimes people don't get the credit that they deserve. And this new book that I'm doing, it tells basically the whole story about the people behind the scenes and how it is to make a film, what they have to go through, whether it's a writer's strike or whether it's we've started production and the script's not finished, or we've got to change a location because the weather's not acting right, or whatever the case may be. Oftentimes, I think the making of the film is just as interesting or more interesting sometimes than what goes on in front of the camera. And that was sort of where I wanted to go. And it's refreshing to hear that from people who have, been involved, like myself, involved in the business and have seen it from all facets and areas. And I think this is going to be a real, pleasure for young filmmakers and people who are wanting to get into business to see how things really are, and to know that it does take a village to do this, especially to do it right. Those 100 or 150 people that worked on these films, at that time versus the thousands that work on a film now. And I think that's something else, is something for me personally. I don't know how you gentlemen feel about it, but I think there's far too much CGI going on. Oftentimes I feel like it's used to make up for a weakness in a script, or for the fact that you don't have characters that you really care about, like the development kind of got stunted, their growth kind of got stunted. But I just feel like there's so much CGI going on. Almost all the effects that were in the film that I was in were practical. And I think that that's something that adds to the realism, because oftentimes I feel like a person watching a movie can tell that's a fake shark. That's a CGI knife blade. That's this, that. There's no real effort to kind of mask that. And I think that that's the problem with a lot of modern horror. And that's why people gravitate towards the older stuff, like, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, My Bloody Valentine, Maniac, all these great films, A Black Christmas. And there's so much out there to be said for doing a film practically. And that's where so much of the budget on those earlier films went, was towards effects. I mean, and production value. It's amazing what a few $100,000 do for a film. I mean, Halloween, that was $300,000 budget on that, and look where it went. And so many, so much can be said for all the others.
Well, that brings up an interesting question that I wanted to kind of ask, which I ask anybody who's been in a horror movie or had to be in a makeup chair. Dan, how long were you in the chair for Leatherface?
Well, the main stint in the chair was when they made a life cast of my head. That was an interesting experience. I don't know if anybody's ever had that done, where they slather your whole head with latex, and then add layers of plaster and bandaging, and all the way down to your shoulders, leaving you little nose holes through which to breathe. That was I'm not sure how long that was.
So apparently you're not claustrophobic.
I am, but
Uh-oh.
yeah, I remember sitting there, and they said, I could pretty much hear everybody until the very end, as they're doing it. And they kept talking to me and everything, and they kept saying, if there's a problem, raise your hand. And I remember it was about, I don't know how long into the process, you have to close your eyes. And I thought I opened my eyes. I had this panic moment, and I thought, oh fuck, I bet I messed this up. I should let them know I opened my eyes. And I almost raised my hand, and then I said, and then I got a grip on myself, and I thought, oh no, there's no way I could open my eyes with this much latex on them. I mean, that's crazy. And then I just kind of went to a real blissful place. It was very meditative. And a buddy of mine, Frank Tamarello, he was there with a video camera. He shot the whole thing, and I've never seen that video. I'll have to ask him whatever became of that. But yeah, that's a fascinating process. Mm-hmm. And to Blake's comment on CGI, I was in Sharknado 4, and I want to tell you, those are all real sharks, and it's terrifying. And how they generated that Sharknado, I'll never know, but having to hit them with the chainsaw and everything, that wasn't easy to do, my friend.
I take my hat off to you, sir. I did want to comment on something, Joe, if you don't mind, to piggyback off of what Ron and Dan were saying about the box office for the Leatherface film from 2017. That only made $921,697 at the box office.
Only.
Wow.
On what?
Only 921,000. I mean, think about what they put into it. I think they kind of lost their money, don't you? I mean,
yeah,
and
it'll be a while before that movie makes.
And a lot of respect in the process, I think.
And the rights to shoot any further films, because there was some kind of horrendous delay on the release of that one. So Lionsgate and Millennium Films lost the rights to produce the future films because of that. So it's a sad thing.
Guys, I got a couple of people that are commenting that are just kind of waving. I'm not sure if they know you or if they're new to the show.
Hi, Shannon.
Shannon.
She's our partner down there in Scranton.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. And
April. So she's the one that's she's the female lead in our movie, Volition.
Oh, great.
Nice to have you joining us, April. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And
Thank
Ryan.
you, Shannon. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Hi, Ryan.
And got another question. Well, this is an interesting one. Mike saying, Ron, call me crazy, but I think Ron Perlman would be a great addition to the movie. Did he say Voltron? I don't think
He did. I think it auto-corrected. It was the damn autocorrect. That's what it was.
Cast, signed, sealed, and delivered on this one. So.
Nope, he did actually. He corrected it. Good stuff.
I'm a big Ron Perlman fan.
Are you?
Actually,
Brett's worked with him.
We'll get Ron Perlman in the sequel to Slaughter Farm, which is called Slaughter Ranch. In Slaughter Ranch, you will see every actor in Hollywood who's over 6'6".
Okay, so there's
There'll
three.
be a lot of big, mean people in there.
He said so. There's 3. Is that what you said, Joe?
Yes.
We know.
Yeah, we know most of them. So.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Well, I guess I fall just short then. I'm only 6'5". I don't get to be in the club.
Well, we'll get you some lifts.
We'll get you some high heels, brother. You'll be good.
Yeah,
Hey, I think they look good on. Hey, I'll take it.
You're in.
I don't know. Some Gene Simmons platform shoes.
That'd make him too.
Cowboy boots are all you need, bro. That's all.
That's funny that you say that. Not that Joe doesn't know this because I haven't told him. Spoiler alert, right? My cousin was an actor. He's no longer living, but he was, I want to say he always wore cowboy boots and stuff. He was in The Dukes of Hazzard, which I didn't watch because I was too young. He was the sheriff.
Now, wait a minute. Whoa.
Roscoe P. Coltrane.
That's him, James Best. Yeah.
You
Him.
can't be on the show any longer if you're too young to have watched the Dukes of Hazzard.
I didn't watch it in syndication. You didn't let me finish.
Okay.
I didn't watch it. I'm only 33 years old, so it would be a rerun, just like MacGyver and Knight Rider and all those other ones are. But yeah, the cowboy boots. I can't wear them. They bother my feet.
All right, well, we'll get you some nice biker boots then.
There you go. Hey, I would love to have a part. I'll wear some biker boots, and then you can kill me with a chainsaw. How about that?
No, you're a killer in this movie.
Oh, I'm a killer. Beautiful. I can fucking do that shit. Yes.
If you guys ever need a fat kid with really long hair, let me know.
Oh, look at you with the long hair back.
Oh yeah,
You hide that well.
Thank you. Yeah, I do try to hide it on the show, but sometimes
you gotta let the freak flag fly, right?
Exactly. What are you drinking there, Ron? No, I'm kidding.
Pepsi. There's a nice endorsement for Pepsi. Maybe they'll send me $1.
Oh, you got a Pepsi, I got a Coke. Hey, we got a comment, Joe, from Eric. Do you mind if I read that one out loud?
Not whatsoever. Let me pull that up.
It says, "Hey, Mike Tackett, you can play Leatherface in Mortal Kombat X on Xbox and PlayStation." I was aware of that. I was going to ask. I haven't played Leatherface in that one. Have you guys seen it? Dan, have you seen it up close? Have you played the game or seen the model that they used?
No, I think my game is still Pac-Man and
Centipedes and Galaga, right?
yeah. Well, actually, my favorite video game was Lunar Lander. I love that.
I remember that, where if you fucked up and dropped it too fast, it exploded.
Yeah, you
I
crashed all
remember.
the time.
Yeah, every time.
It took skill.
It does, and kids today will never know that. Kids today will never understand that. It's kind of sad.
I remember the excitement of getting our Radio Shack Pong game for Christmas one year.
Oh wow!
Used to play it on the TV,
You know, the earliest memory I have of a video game system is I got an Atari Jaguar 7600 for Christmas one year,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I
you
just thought I was
combined
hot
three
shit.
different consoles, Blake. That's three different consoles. There's an Atari 7600. There's a Jaguar. And
Right. Yeah, I had all of them, and after 33 years, they all kind of run together. I tell you what, I didn't have. I did not have a Genesis or any of those. I skipped right from that to PlayStation. You know, and they had no good horror games outside of Resident Evil, so I kind of was just like,
Well, no, interesting concept though. There was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre Atari 2600 game.
Really?
The wood grain Atari 2600. There
I
was
remember that with the black and wood grain finish. Yeah, I remember
I never
that.
remember that game, though. I'll have to look it up. I bet the graphics were spectacular.
I'm not sure. Yeah, right. But I'm not sure if it was a bootleg or if it was a legitimate game. But
I never
a
heard of
buddy
that.
of mine who hosts a channel on YouTube, he reviewed it, and there was a game, and yeah, Atari graphics, forget about it. The chainsaw, it was like one square spinning around something.
It was like watching the Oregon Trail game was more advanced than that one.
Pretty much. Well, I mean, Atari 2600 at the time, it couldn't even compete with Oregon Trail. But we got a few more things going on down here. All right, guys, we're not getting into all this video game stuff. Well, okay, Amy's saying she loves Pitfall. We're supposed to be talking about these guys, their movie, their company.
We are, but that's the beauty of having these gentlemen on is because they're very versatile. They have a wide range of interest, right? You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to comment on, I revisited Texas Chainsaw 3D last night. I don't have a 3D TV, and obviously I didn't have glasses or anything, but you could tell where the things were supposed to be coming and spinning at you, and it really looked cool, in my opinion. At the time, was that major... I'm trying to find the correct wording. Special effects?
Well, we actually shot the movie in 3D with 3D cameras. And the movie, the guys who do the 3D technical part of it, you know, the guys who run the 3D aspect of the cameras, they were there were two of them. It takes two people to do it. I don't know how it all works, but it was incredible. We had the two of the best, 3D camera rigs. Apparently, they were shooting The Hobbit in 3D, or one of those movies. Was it I don't know. Anyway, that production there were only 50 of these cameras in the world, and they had all of them. And so,
wow.
You know, our 3D guy got two of their cameras from them, and those were the ones we used. And they're just amazing, you know, amazing rigs. I mean, certainly as a 3D horror movie, it is some of the best 3D cinema you'll ever see. These guys were absolute artists. However, you know, you are making a 3D horror movie, so you know you got to poke the audience once in a while. Otherwise, they feel cheated. You know, there's the screen plane is one of the elements of 3D photography, and things are either behind that plane or in front of it, and it's really, you know, it's really an art to knowing how to compose that 3D image. And these guys were geniuses. I mean, they were brilliant. They made a 3D concert movie for I think it was U2. I didn't see it, but apparently this was like just, I mean, the producers saw it and were just blown away at how beautifully done it was. And so these were the guys they got. And, you know, like I say, it's a horror movie. And so, you know, the chainsaw blade is gonna come close to the audience every now and then. Just to keep them on their toes.
Oh, yeah,
And,
especially
actually, there's a shot. It took a while too to figure out how to work with a 3D camera as an actor, you know, because you know you always have to remain aware of the frame you're in and you know exact, you know, the marks, especially for the chainsaw, were, you know, I mean, they're in 3D space, so you know it became extremely complex and technical. But I remember after the you know the premiere of the movie, the producer had a party at his house, and Tobe Hooper was there, and I fanboyed out, you know, I mean, kind of, you know, got a little gaga, but we did finally get to sit down and have a couple of cigars and talk movies for a couple of hours. And he remarked about the shot where Leatherface is chasing Heather out of the house and into the cemetery, and Leatherface comes down the front steps of the house.
Yeah.
And you see that chainsaw blade, you know, go right to the corner of the screen and then sweep across it. And he said that was so beautiful, because they tried, when they shot Texas Chainsaw Massacre, to get that shot, and they could just never get it. You know, and he said we achieved it in 3D, and he was very impressed. And so
wow, that's one hell of a compliment. Yeah.
Yes, from, you know, I'll take anything from Tobe Hooper. He was a nice guy. We talked until, I don't know, it was about 3 a.m, and finally I was exhausted, my wife was exhausted, and we had to say goodbye. And he said, you know, he had remarked earlier that, you know, he really appreciated, you know, what we did and what I did with the character of Leatherface, you know, that we remained true to his ideal of who that character really was. And at the end of the night, he got up, and as we were saying our goodbyes, he said, "I have to give you a hug." And you know, and he did. He was just such a nice guy. And I've heard a lot of, you know, stories from people about how, you know, maybe he wasn't the nicest guy in the world, but god damn, that wasn't my experience at all. He was just, you know, it was a magical night for me. I'll say that.
That's a fantastic story, Dan. And again, that sheds a lot of light on, you know, someone who was very kind of prolific, sort of behind the scenes. Tobe was not one to sort of get all in, you know, up in publicity and do a lot of, you know, conventions and all that kind of stuff. But when he did come out, it was always, you know, a powerful kind of, you know, well-respected thing. And I think that was a great compliment, not only to your film, but to you as an actor, for him to have that kind of reaction to your work. And I'll have to go back and revisit the movie and see it again. But, you are just the nicest damn guy I've ever talked to, you and Ron both. You are welcome to cut me up with a chainsaw anytime. I would have a smile on my face.
Blake, don't make Leatherface blush.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, don't do that, because then it'll get dark inside again, right?
That's right.
I don't know where Joe went. Joe, did you disappear? I think you did.
No, I didn't disappear. I was doing things.
There's something happening here. The screen's moving.
I was trying to read the comments going on and looking through them to see what is and isn't appropriate to actually air. So,
it's like that, huh?
Yeah. So, go on and talk amongst yourselves for a second.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, are you having a good time on the show so far?
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having us on. We're anything we can do to get the word out about what we're doing. I certainly believe in what we're doing, and we got a great team, like I said, in Scranton. And so anything we can do to shed a little bit of light on this project is very welcome by us, that's for sure.
Well, I'm going to be sharing that on my professional pages and stuff, and on my author page, because I just appreciate what you guys are doing so damn much. I'm going to push all those links for you. You'll probably be getting a friend request from me at some point. You'll recognize me from the mustache. Okay, I look too much like I guess Eric Estrada from Chips. You'll recognize me. So
I remember your name for sure.
Cool. Joe, what are you laughing at over there?
Eric Estrada Chips.
Yeah,
I used to get it every time I was on a movie set. They would always do that. And I go to compose or go to a movie set. Hey, where's John? Be like, you go fuck yourself. Okay. It would get annoying. That or Karate Kid. I got that one a lot too. So.
Wow, Ralph. Okay, I can see that. Ralph Macchio, when he was in the Karate Kid and he had the peach fuzz mustache. You're absolutely right. All right, gentlemen, this is the time that we're going to be wrapping things up, and we're going to want you to plug whatever you got going on with websites and social media. We are going to start with Ron, just because it's fun putting him on the spot.
Yeah, no problem. There's one link I want people to remember tonight. That's fundvolition.com. It will take you directly to Indiegogo. And there are a lot of different props that you can buy, props that we're going to use on the screen use props. And those are all great. But the easiest and quickest way, and what I tell people to do, is pre-order the movie. It's $25 for a stream, $35 for, I believe that's the price on the DVD. And that goes a long way towards helping us make this happen. And we would be grateful for folks to do that. We have a couple of other. Just follow us on Facebook at Bad Anger Pictures and badangerpictures.com. But the most important one is fundvolition.com. That's the one that'd mean the most to us right now. If folks could check it out. There's nearly a 6-minute video where we tease a little bit in the beginning about what the show is going to be about. Dan talks about why Volition and a little bit more into it and why we're doing the film now. And then I come on and talk a little bit about it at the end. So, I just tell people to check out that video. And if you feel compelled to give us a hand or, share it with friends, that would be the best possible thing you can do for us right now. As of this recording, and I know people will see it after the recording, most people will see it after recording, but we have only 3 days left. So it's crunch time.
All right. But Ron, social media other than the actual link, you guys are on Facebook. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't. Yeah, Instagram. It's that long. My name on there. I can provide it to you later. I don't even remember it. It's like Ron Scott Bad Anger Pictures, something like that.
You got a bunch of underscores, man.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of underscores. So you found it already, I guess. But
well, absolutely, I'm a fan.
I should probably shorten that in some way. I'll get on that. But No, mainly on Facebook. It's Bad Anger Pictures. Dan's Leatherface page. So if you look up Dan Yeager Leatherface, you'll find that's where the biggest community is, getting close to 6,000 people now. Follow Dan there. And yeah, so that's the main thing. You can find me, Ron Scott, if you want to follow me too. It'd be great because I repost pretty much everything we put up. And you know how Facebook is when you have a group, you post something and about 10% of them actually see it, unfortunately. So we have this strategy of, putting the word out against, Volition Movie, which is on Facebook, and Bad Anger Pictures, mine, and then Dan's. So it's a combination of trying to hit everybody from all sides.
Nope, that's good stuff. Absolutely. Everybody look for him. And Dan, we're going to go over to you.
I really don't understand social media at all, so I always just punt to Ron. He's in command of all of it. I've kept my Dan Yeager page just below 5,000 friends, just because, I hate to hit that 5,000 limit. But I post nonsense all the time.
But
so how close are you, Dan? Is there no room for you to add me? Just one
yeah,
more
no,
person?
like I say, I think I'm at 4,954 right now. So
okay, I'll have to stop
Dan,
by.
you also have the Dan.
Pretty much as long as you have a picture of yourself as your profile picture rather than
A Russian hooker.
yeah, I think I've deleted all the Russian hookers now. But there may be one or two left. I go through and clean it out every now and then. I try and
We all get them,
so I can always have new ones.
But you have your Dan Yeager Leatherface page too, no?
Yeah.
On
I
Facebook.
post stuff on there too. So.
Right on. All right, gentlemen, we are going to wrap this up. I still want to get. I think I'm still showing the web address for the project right now. Any last words?
Just thank you so much for having us on, Joe and Blake. It's nice getting to know you a little bit, and we look forward to getting to know you more in the future. And anything we can do for you, let us know. And we appreciate all that you're doing for us, certainly. Thank you.
We definitely support the project. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dan, last words?
Joe, Blake, it was a real pleasure talking to you guys tonight. It's always fun to meet fellow fans. I've been a horror fan all my life, and I do want to be clear. Volition is not really a horror movie, in the technical sense. And another Toby Hooper reference. Toby told me at that party, he says, we were talking horror movies, and I asked him about something. He said, well, it's not really a horror movie unless it has a cemetery in it. So anyway, I've always taken that as from the Gospel of Toby. So anyway, Volition. I think folks are going to enjoy it. We're certainly striving to make it, a real quality piece of work. That's our overriding concern, is that it's valuable cinematically. I think people will see the art and the craft that goes into it.
I have no doubt whatsoever that it's going to be phenomenal, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Gentlemen, please stay with us for a moment or two after we end our broadcast. Blake, where can we find you on social media, sir?
You can find me on Instagram at Blake Best Official. I post all the stuff about the book, all my convention appearances, signings. You can keep up with my schedule there. Blake Best Horror on Facebook. That's my official author page. And then I've got a Twitter, which I'm trying to get better about using, but I'm a little bit technologically impaired when it comes to some of the social media. But it's it's Blake Best 1428. All my books and stuff are about Nightmare on Elm Street, so 1428 obviously had to be a no-brainer to put in my title. But you can find me there, and then anything about the book, you know all the links, Joe. Yeah, I'll let you push it and whore me out a little bit. I won't take up too much of that time.
Fair enough. And again, for Technical Defects, we have YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I can't think of anything else as of right now. But anyway, gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Again, stick with us for about 30 seconds afterwards. I'd greatly appreciate it. Everybody have a great evening. And thank you for all the people that commented and shared with us. This was a really great interview. I'm ecstatic. Definitely looking forward to this project. Let's help hit that goal. They're not that far away.
3 days. Let's make it happen. It's totally worth it. Absolutely. I have all the faith in the world in this picture. So let's do it.
Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Night.
History deleted.